All right, we are back in the book of Proverbs, and as we have been doing for the past couple of weeks, I suppose, is that before we get into the book of Proverbs, we talk about something else in the Bible also called a proverb, and just talk about that just for a moment, just for a little bit. This is coming from two different books, from Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 29 to 30, and also Ezekiel chapter 18, in verse 1, but it's in more places than that in Ezekiel, and probably also in Jeremiah. But it is called a proverb, and this is one of those things that this is something the people were saying, but that doesn't mean that it was correct. As a matter of fact, God corrects it. And the proverb went like this: the father have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. All right, what does that mean? That means that, have you ever, of course you have, eaten something very sour? And I remember when I was a kid eating, I don't go out for super sour things anymore, but eating something sour is almost like your jaw locked up. And, or that, I guess you could think of it, your teeth set on edge, like that. And when I was a kid, I loved the sensation. I loved doing sour things. And I would laugh at adults that would tell me, if you eat green apples, you will get a stomach ache. And I thought, I eat them all day long. It don't affect me. I don't get stomach aches. And I mean, they would just be small green things. I couldn't wait for them to get ripe. How long is that going to take? When you can eat them now and you can enjoy them now. So the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. Now, this is explained as to what it means. It means we are suffering, we're being punished, but not for anything we did. It's something that those before us did. All right, they're the ones that sinned. They're the ones that did all the wickedness. And here we are, a generation, 2 generations, 5 generations later. We're the ones being punished for it. And God actually corrects that in saying, no, you're being punished because of what you've done. All right. And because while, yes, those in the past were sinning, it has escalated, it has grown, it has gotten worse in all this. And there comes a point in time when God says that's enough. All right, that is absolutely enough. And you can't blame this on anybody else. That this is not what the fathers have done and you're suffering because of it, but it's what you have done as well. Now, let's go to Proverbs chapter 6, and we want to go over the last few verses that we went over last week, but we didn't do them very well, and they lead us to the next bit of verses from 16 and 19. But we begin in verse 12. And it's talking about this worthless person. A worthless person, a wicked man, goes about with crooked speech, winks with his eye, signals with his feet, points with his finger, with perverted heart devises evil, continually sowing discord. Therefore calamity will come upon him suddenly. In a moment he will be broken beyond healing. Now, last week we spoke about the worthless person. This is the sons of Belial, sons of worthlessness, someone who has no value at all. Now, intrinsically they do have a value, but they have become worthless. They have made themselves this way. And we talked about Abimelech in Judges chapter 9, in verse 4 specifically, where you have worthless and reckless men. He went and gathered them up, and they gladly followed him. Also Jephthah in Judges chapter 11 in verse 3, you have worthless men banded with him. And then in 2 Chronicles, these are just examples, 2 Chronicles 13 and 6, Jeroboam, where there's worthless and these worthless rogues gathered to him. And also in Acts chapter 17 and 5, in Thessalonica, you have the Jews that did not believe, that they wanted to stop the gospel, Paul and the gospel from being spoken. And so the Jews, 17 and verse 5, the Jews took evil men from the marketplace, gathered a mob, set all the city in an uproar. All right, this is the type of person we're talking about. This worthless person, this wicked man. He has crooked speech. He has, winks with his eyes, signals with his feet, points with his finger. Okay, what is that? That is, he has federates, as we said, accomplices. You have this secret coercion or secret coordination in evil. It's all subversive. And with perverted heart devises evil, continually sowing discord. This is what he does. He is a manipulator. He is, this person who's sowing discord is pulling strings. He is trying to cause chaos or havoc or a riot. He's trying to do that. He's trying to be a rabble-rouser. That's what he is. And I have told this example before. And it's someone who could sow discord. And it happened to be a friend among friends. But there were two fellas, they were friends. And this other one could walk by, say one sentence, and those two would now, while they had been very friendly, have friendly conversation, everything was going great, with that one sentence, now they're arguing with each other. Just that one sentence. That is sowing discord among them. Just going by for the purpose of doing, and for the amusement, for his amusement, just going by and saying something and then moving on, knowing those two would now be at it. And that is correct. Now, that's on a very low scale. That's on a very low scale and basically harmless, because it's not like you're getting people riled up to do violence, which is precisely what this is about. How do I know that? You're sowing discord among brethren, and we'll have more things coming in the next few verses, because it's describing the same thing. In the next few verses are describing the same sort of people. Beginning in verse 16. These 6 things the Lord hates, yes, 7 are an abomination to Him. This is describing this person again, or these people again, this worthless person, this wicked man. And here is this one who incites people. That's what he's out to do. Very much like those in Thessalonica, Acts chapter 17, they go and they find worthless men. They go and they do it, and then get a mob together and set everything into an uproar. Adolf Hitler and those with him did precisely the same thing. That's precisely what they did. They got at the beginnings of gaining power in order to get control of things and to do what they wanted to do. They had to get worthless men. They had to. Men that did not have a problem smashing windows, kicking doors, beating people, or murder. They didn't have a problem with that. And that's the sort of men he needed until it was inconvenient. And then he had to switch gears on that and actually killed the leader and the lot of them. But he needed them at the beginning of all. I say killed all of them. I don't know that he killed all of them, but he definitely killed the leader in it, and the whole thing was disbanded. But here are your worthless men that are being used by someone who's over them, someone who's manipulating them, pulling the strings, giving them something that they want. They're just very much like a mercenary would. if you pay me, I'll do whatever it is that you want me to do. Now, we come to verse 16. All right, after it says, their calamity is going to come upon them suddenly in a moment. He will be broken beyond healing. That is the hour strikes and that person's gone. And there's a sigh of relief among those who knew him. Sigh of relief of, I'm glad that person's not here anymore. All right, but now, verse 16, there are 6 things that the Lord hates. 7 are an abomination to him. Now it's going to list the 7. Now, years ago, I was absolutely puzzled as to this sort of statement. There are 6 things that the Lord hates. 7 are an abomination to him. All right, how could there be 7 in 6? Well, it's not 6, it's actually 7. All right. Well, I was is 7 the worst of them? Or what's the deal with the 7th one? Well, there really isn't. It's a Hebrew idiom. It's a figure of speech. And Proverbs is not the only place that has it. Job 5:19, we see that same figure of speech that's being made. Okay, it's just a figure of speech. That's all. And there are 6 things that the Lord hates. 7 are abomination to him. Now he's going to be mentioning some things. How he described the worthless person and the wicked man up in verse 12. All right, he's going to be mentioning some things that are parallel with that. And these things are together to actually as a continuation of what he was just talking about concerning that worthless person. It's a continuation in that. Now, let's look at this. Verse 17. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue. Now that goes back up to verse 12, crooked speech. What do you think crooked speech is? It's lying. Of course it is. It's deception. It's not giving you the truth. So here is these haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood. All right, so this tells us more about this person and the evil they devise, and a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to run. Feet that may make haste to run to evil, a false witness who breathes out lies, and here's the 7th one, and one who sows discord among brethren. So, verse 18, a heart that devises wicked plans, well, that goes back up to verse 14. With perverted heart devises evil. So here's this wicked plans from their heart. Also, verse 19, one who sows discord among brothers, that also goes back up to verse 14, continually sowing discord. That's what they do. So here you have these 7 things that are an abomination to God. All right, let's just go ahead and define abomination as being, you can't get a stronger word, not in English anyway, to show how much something is hated. If it's an abomination, that as far as the English language is concerned, I think that would be there on the bottom. You could substitute another word, but I don't think it takes you any lower than this. I could be wrong about this, but these are an abomination. God hates these. Now, there is a pattern between the 6th and then the 7th in this. There is a pattern. Now, does this have any greater thing than other than it is a pattern? I don't think so. Does it have a greater meaning? No, I don't think so. But if you'll notice, the first 6 things involve it's bringing the body in as part of the line. Eye, tongue, hands. Eye, tongue, hands, heart, feet, breathes. All of this is describes the body is in the description of this, but then sows discord among brethren. It doesn't have that for this one, but it's just a pattern to be found in this, and all these are an abomination. So all these can be found in that worthless person, and all these need to be avoided. Now, one could say, well, I've never shed innocent blood. I don't really devise wicked plans. I don't run to evil. All right, well, maybe you're not that worthless person, and congratulations, but you need to keep yourself away from haughty eyes, that proud, or as the New King James puts it, as proud look, which that's not as good to me as what is here in the English Standard, because a proud look, I think we are incorporating the body in this. A proud look isn't a look is not specifically eyes, but in the sentence, in the statement, but it's saying the same thing. Someone who's just arrogant and looking down their nose at you. You are worthless. I'm everything. You are expendable. I must be protected. You sacrifice. I gain. All right, I'm not going to make the sacrifice. You make all the sacrifices, and but here is the haughty eyes and the lying tongue. These things must be stopped, all of it, but also all of it are indicative. Here is bad fruit. You can judge this tree. You can judge this tree. This tree is not to be admired at all. And let's talk about Jim Jones for a second. Jim Jones, just as a basic reminder, that in the 70s, I forgot what year it was, it became huge news. Nobody really knew what the People's Temple was. I mean, it was a cult that began in the East, I forgot where, and they moved to California, and then they moved to Guyana, and it was in Guyana that he had everybody commit suicide. Well, actually, it isn't suicide. You were forced to drink the poison. So that's not suicide. And there was somewhere around 1,000 people that he killed. Okay. That's a good question. How can you be taken by that? Because I saw a documentary on it, and there are recordings of Jim Jones. There's film of him speaking, giving some kind of sermon, and basically around people. Honestly, I don't know what attracted them to him. I don't know, because he came off as someone you would gladly walk away from. He was abrasive. He was just harsh. And I don't know what it was that attracted them to him. Maybe it was the teaching that he gave. Maybe it was the idea that they were going to be living in some sort of ideal paradise in the jungle of Guyana. Okay, I don't know, but that was actually a later idea. That wasn't the initial idea, to go to Guyana. The only reason he did that is to escape the law, so he could do things there he couldn't legally do here. As a matter of fact, it'd be things that he couldn't legally do in Guyana, but he would be so far away from civilization and law, no one would know. All right, he would be in complete control of that. And so I don't know what kind of charisma he may have had, but it wouldn't work on me. Not his anyway. Something else might, but not his. But here is this warning of there are certain things that you look for and you know this person needs to be avoided. You're either going to be brought in with their scheme or you're going to be a victim. Best stay away from that person. Now, we come to verse 20 and we have a return to this exhortation. And speaking of the value of keeping the words that are being given to the Son, here, Father speaking to the Son, the words that are given, and basic value of wisdom. So verse 20, my son, keep your father's commandment and forsake not your mother's teaching. This goes right hand in hand with what he's been saying. He's been repeating things very, very similar. Bind them on your heart, always tie them around your neck. When you walk, they will lead you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. And when you awake, they will talk with you. They'll be there. You keep them, they'll be there. They will help you. Here is the value in all this. And we're going to see a pattern that has been taking place a little bit, of where there has been exhortation and then situations you need to avoid. And in particular thus far, not the only thing thus far, but in particular thus far, is that of you have exhortation and then be careful of these wicked men. And then also be careful of the adulteress. Stay away from both of these. Stay completely away. And now, they will talk with you. Verse 23, for the commandment is a lamp and the teaching a light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life. Now, we want to discuss this just for a second, that there are certain things necessary in life, and it's all a part of life. Reproofs are part of that. Reproofs of discipline are part of living. If you don't have that, it's not going to go well for you or anybody else around you. There must be reproofs of discipline involved in everyone's life, because everyone will make mistakes and everyone will need to be corrected. Everybody. There is no one who lives this life perfectly except the Son of God. Nobody else can do it. And this is something to be expected. It's a matter of living. It's a matter of existing on this earth and living a life here that just expect it to happen, and it's necessary. Take it. Take what has been given, because it is going to help you greatly. Now, we just made mention that we're back into this little section again of exhortation, reminding the Son and reminding us to keep these words, to keep them. It's another reminder. And already, I mean, we're in chapter 6, already this has been done several times. But here's the thing. If it were not important, it wouldn't be repeated. And also, if you weren't in danger, then it wouldn't be repeated. And if you didn't need it, it wouldn't be repeated. And if these mistakes that people make were rare, you wouldn't need it repeated. But it's repeated as to re-emphasize, actually at several points, the value of it. And what is coming next is going to be another section of the adulterous woman, which is going to take us into chapter 7, where we are given an observation. It's a story of something that Solomon saw. It's an observation. But it has to do with a very foolish man falling in with an adulteress. But we come to verse 24. To preserve you from the evil woman, from the smooth tongue of the adulteress. All right, now we have already discussed this because it's already been given, chapter 2, chapter 5, and then we'll continue in chapter 7. Okay, then here we are in chapter 6. To preserve you from the evil woman, from the smooth tongue of the adulteress. Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. For the price of a prostitute is only a loaf of bread, but a married woman hunts down a precious life. Now, this isn't saying that a prostitute is okay and an adulteress is not okay. Neither one of them are okay. Neither one of them. Both of them are the forbidden woman. Both of them are. But here is the adulteress. How was she different from the prostitute? Well, she's married. She's got a husband. Where is he? All right? And he's not going to be okay with this. He's not going to be okay at all. She hunts down a precious life, meaning she is out to corrupt. That's what she wants to do. She's out to do this as a personal goal. I don't know, but she's out to do this. Now, we have this question. Can a man carry fire next to his chest and his clothes not be burned? That's a rhetorical question. And of course, the answer is no. You would know this. You're playing with fire. You're embracing the coals. You're embracing the fire. And you think you're not going to get burned? You are. All right, verse 28. Or can one walk on coals and his feet not be scorched? Once again, a question. It doesn't need to be answered because we know the answer. The answer is no. You're going to get burned. Verse 29. So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. No one who touches her will go unpunished. All right. Now that is a promise, by the way. And that doesn't mean that the husband finds out and punishes everyone. That's not what that means. But there will be justice. There will be punishment for this. And one may not think they have seen it in this lifetime. They can go through this lifetime and not be punished whatsoever. Actually, you just may not realize how you have been punished, and you think, well, how is it punishment? Yeah, you're being twisted. You're being twisted, you're being perverted, and you're going down a path or that slippery slope. Okay, but there will be punishment. Anyone that thinks they can go through this life and do whatever they want and there'll be no punishment whatsoever, you are fooling yourself. There will be punishment. And if you see no court, if you see no kind of punishment in this lifetime that you could possibly identify, there will be punishment coming up in final judgment. There will be. Now, we come to verse 30. In verse 30, he makes a comparison between someone who is involved with this adulterous woman and someone who's a basic thief. And that there's more sympathy for the adulterer will receive no sympathy. But there could be sympathy for a thief. Not to say that a thief is right, because he's actually saying the thief's got to repay. All right? Any more than he said that the prostitute is right. All right? Just that the prostitute probably doesn't have, in this particular context, that the prostitute doesn't have a husband. All right? Otherwise, she would be another adulteress. But notice verse 30. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his appetite when he is hungry. If he's hungry, if he's starving, and he steals something, He did steal. Okay? But they won't despise him for it. They show some sympathy there. He's still, but if he is caught, he will pay sevenfold. So he still has to pay. He will give all the goods of his house. But they don't despise him because it's understood. Okay, I know why you stole. You shouldn't have done it. You could have asked. You could have done something else. But stealing is not right. But they don't despise him. People understand. All right? But the adulterer is a different case. This is different. And here there is no sympathy and there can be no return or repayment whatsoever. Verse 32, he who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. And once again, thinking that there's not going to be any kind of repercussions, thinking that going through this life and not get punished whatsoever and have no idea the things that are occurring to him, just not considering it. Not considering it. I don't want to call somebody dense, but you might just be dense because your wickedness has brought you to that point to where you don't see the damage you've caused to yourself. You don't see it. You get the wrong perspective in it. But you're destroying yourself. Verse 33, he will get wounds and dishonor, and his disgrace will not be wiped away. It will always be part of that person's history. This is your record, and there it is. This is what you did, and there it is. And there's dishonor in all of this. And, someone who is a man who's known as a womanizer, there's no respect in that. Or a woman who goes out to seek a target, who goes out to try to bring somebody in with her hooks. All right, there's dishonor there as well. Okay, there in that. Who is it? It was a rather famous feminist who was known for taking her friends' husbands. All right, she was known for it. And anybody that she saw that she wanted, well, she pretty much got, I can only suppose. But her response to her friends and to others was, if they can't keep their own husbands, they don't deserve them. Or if you can't keep your husbands from doing this, if you can't keep them home, that's on you. That's not on me. That's on you doing that. And no, I mean, okay, justify it however you want. Justify it however you want. Verse 34, for jealousy makes a man furious, and he will not spare when he takes revenge. That's why you can have police being called where someone has just been shot or someone has just been killed, and they find out, all right, this person was cheating on that person. It's domestic, and somebody was found in the house, and it wasn't good, and now we've got a body. Okay, and this is that he will not spare when he takes revenge. And here's this next verse. He will accept no compensation. He will refuse though you multiply gifts. Nothing is going to pay for this. Nothing. Aside from the fact, how does that make you look? If there was a price, that you would take for your wife, or we just change it around, for your husband, if there was a price of, for that price you can have them. Take them for the weekend. Take them for a month. That's okay. If the price is right, well, what does that look like? You don't love that person in the least. You don't love that person. And so there's no compensation that's going to do it. There's nothing to be returned. You can't return it. You can't go back in time. What has occurred is there in the record. What has occurred is there. And everyone is going to have to live with it now. Now, chapter 7 continues in this, though we have a short portion of once again addressing the son. My son, keep my words. But it's going to continue on this line, and it is a story that Solomon is going to tell of what he saw. He saw this occur. And then, as by way of example, just as anecdotal evidence, or just this is what I saw, and this is what will happen to you. Now, we will continue next week, hopefully, and I want to thank everybody for being with us.